Today, Fujifilm just announced the brand new X-E5 camera and XF 23mm f2.8 lens. Hi everyone, welcome to Pal to Tech. Today we're talking about two big products that Fujifilm has just launched. Let's take a look at the X-E5. This new compact rangefinder-style mirrorless camera builds directly upon the original X-E4, but it also packs inside its very small size a huge amount of significant new features. So right off the bat, you've got the latest X Processor 5 in combination with the 23.5mm by 15.7mm new 40.2 megapixel back illuminated X-Trans CMOS 5 HR sensor. And so what this brings is all of the AI autofocus algorithms in newer Fujifilm X cameras, such as subject detection and bird and animal and eye face tracking, all of that right into this camera body. The camera's native ISO is now on the low end of ISO 125, going all the way up to ISO 12800. The camera will shoot in 14-bit RAW format, but it also will output up to 16-bit TIFF format, as well as both JPEG and HEIF formats. Basically, you get a full 40.2 megapixel resolution and RAW image sizes up to 7,728 by 5,152. The camera's shutter system allows shooting up to 8 frames a second with the mechanical shutter, or you can go up to 13 frames per second with the electronic shutter. Now, if you're okay with that 1.29 times crop, you can combine that with the electronic shutter, and that will allow you to shoot up to 20 frames per second. Now, your mechanical shutter speed will go up to 1/4000th of a second. But if you use the electronic shutter, you can shoot as fast as 1/180,000th of a second. Like previous versions, the X-E5 is a classic rangefinder style body. That's 124.9 by 72.9 by 39.1 millimeters in dimensions. The body of the camera weighs 445 grams, and that does include both the battery and the SD card. Now, speaking of the SD card, it does have a single SD card slot right here, but it does support the faster UHS-2 transfer speeds. Also, it will support recording directly to an external SSD via the USB-C port at transfer speeds of up to 10 gigabits per second as well. This is also where a single, smaller NPW126S battery is housed. Fujifilm mentions that it gives you up to 310 shots in normal mode on a full charge, and up to 400 shots if you set the camera to economy mode. If you're shooting video, you can shoot between 45 and 80 minutes depending upon your video resolution and frame rate. You also have your tripod mount hole right here, and what I believe is a small speaker. And have a look at this right here, a Bluetooth button. This is really interesting, and actually one of the features that I like about the camera, and I hope maybe they can bring to other cameras. The idea of putting a custom button at the bottom of the camera. Looking at the right side of the camera, well, there's not much there, except for this little ring to attach the camera strap. Now, the left side of the camera is very interesting. First, it has your focus mode selector switch for manual, continuous, and single focus modes. Having used that switch on other recent cameras, I love it. I think it's a great idea to put it right there. And right behind it is a hard plastic door that covers up a micro HDMI port, a USB-C port, and a 3.5mm microphone port, which also doubles as a remote release port. Taking a look at the back of the camera, you certainly can't miss the 1.04 million dot 3-inch color LCD touchscreen. It is a fold-out vertical two-way tilting screen, and of course, because it flips all the way up, you could then rotate the camera around and see yourself while you're filming. But right here is the star of the show, which is the 0.39-inch 2.36 million dot electronic viewfinder. And it provides 100% frame coverage at 0.62 times magnification. They've added a few display modes. You've got something called Classic Display Mode, which is sort of a stripped away view of your scene. And look at this right here. The last time I saw red digits like these, I was wearing one of those watches from like the late 1970s. I mean, it looks really cool. They also provide something called surround view mode. So for example, if you have a square resolution, you can still see outside the boundaries of that resolution border right here. You see that? Continuing along the top rear of the camera, you've got your facial proximity sensor, a drive delete, play, and auto exposure autofocus lock button, and finally a command dial that, yes, can be pressed in as a button as well. Below on the right is a joystick, your usual menu OK button, and the DISP back button. And of course, let's not forget about this little button right here, the Q button, with a little small activity light below it. Looking at the front of the camera now, we have another command dial right here, and again, it can press in as a button also. You also have a custom lever button next to it, and right on the other side is the built-in flash. Saving the best for last, let's take a look at the top of the camera. Starting from the right, you've got a custom button right here, an exposure compensation dial, your shutter release button with the on-off switch, and a shutter speed dial. Now, while the exposure system of this camera is a PASM system, I gotta tell you, I was a bit surprised to see that they didn't combine this dial with ISO settings, right? So you could pull it up, change the ISO, push it back down, and have it to change the shutter speed. Here is your hot shoe mount, as well as onboard microphones, and then this right here, what has generated many a debate amongst the Fujifilm family, a dedicated film simulation dial. However, this one is a bit different. First, you're kind of looking down at it. However, even more significant is that this particular dial also provides 3 custom setting choices where, you ready? You can save and store customized film simulation recipes. Now, I'll be honest with you, I think the jury is still out for a number of people as to whether or not a dedicated film simulation dial is really worth having, taking up that valuable real estate at the top of the camera. However, if you are going to have a film simulation dial, then it is outstanding that Fujifilm has listened to their users loud and clear, because they have been asking about the ability to be able to dial in custom film simulation settings right on the dial itself. This dial now allows for that. What would be interesting to test out is that when you save the camera settings using the app for that, you know, there's that app where you can save your camera settings and then restore them. Can you save those 3 custom settings as part of your overall camera settings and then restore them if you want to? Let's now talk about the other major new feature that has been added to this XE lineup, and that is the new built-in 5-axis in-body image stabilization unit, otherwise known as IBIS. This is the first time that they've added IBIS to the XE series of cameras, and promises to add up to 7 stops of image stabilization at the center of the image and up to 6 stops at the edges. And the way that I understand it works, I actually think is the biggest and most important feature of this entire camera, to sense how you are holding and manipulating the camera, and then it will adjust the IBIS accordingly to that. Sort of like a phone, right? If you turn it this way, it does something. It kind of can change depending upon how you're moving it and how you're holding it and how you're tilting it. This would be an incredible thing to start adding on to new Fujifilm cameras and to see improvements on. Now, even though this is more of a classic rangefinder style photography first camera, it is no slouch either with its video capabilities. It does support up to 6.2K, 30p, 10-bit 422 video at 200 megabits per second. And yes, these specs can be recorded directly to the SD card. However, it can also output 6.2K 16:9 30p 12-bit if you set the camera to output HDMI RAW. It also offers both an oversampled 4K output option, as well as the option to shoot regular 4K 60p in both 16:9 and 17:9 formats. One thing I did notice is that the video compression seems to be limited to long-GOP video format with no option for all intra. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then don't worry about it. There is also an option to shoot in high-speed, slow-motion mode in HD format of up to 240 frames per second. Now, the camera is definitely pricier than the former XE4 camera, and they are planning on selling it either as a body only for $1699.95 or as a kit with that XF 23mm f2.8 prime lens to be sold at $1899.95. According to Fujifilm, the camera is expected to be available later on in the summer. Let's move on to the lens. The new XF 23mm f2.8 RWR is the new compact pancake-style lens for X-mount. I have the original 23mm f2.0 focal length prime lens, but now I'm looking at this, and when I got it, I thought, oh, this is really small. Now I see this new pancake one, and this thing is like, the size of a Winnebago next to it. But it's all in your perception. Its 23mm focal length will give you a classic 35mm equivalent field of view on APS-C cameras. And it's 61.8mm by 23mm, and it weighs just 90 grams. In fact, I believe it's one of the smallest X-mount lenses ever produced by Fujifilm. The lens has a 39mm filter size. It is a weather-resistant design, and it can handle temperatures as low as -10 degrees Celsius. It features an 11-blade aperture and comprises 8 elements in 6 groups. The focal range is f2.8 to f16. The minimum focus distance on the lens is 20 centimeters. Now, ergonomically, there's also a fixed spacer that sits between the aperture ring and the focus ring, which I think was included because when you're using a rangefinder style camera, a lot of folks are going to be holding it like this and feeling for it, and so it gives a better ability to discern which is the aperture ring and which is the focus ring. So I think that was a great decision. From what I understand, the lens is using a regular DC motor that drives the lens and the internal focusing. So in terms of how fast or how silent the autofocusing is, only time will tell and feedback from reviewers start to come in. And according to Fujifilm, it's expected to be available sometime in late 2025. If you have not yet seen the summit event that Fujifilm held today, I have a live watch stream party that's available for you. Go to the live tab in YouTube and you'll see it right there. You can see my reaction to the news, plus comments from some of the other viewers as well. It was a good time, although a little early this morning. Now there's one final thing I have to tell you, and I wasn't even going to include this. If you're wondering why I wasn't provided a demo unit of this camera or of the lens, that was my fault. Fujifilm had sent out an email to all of the media, which also includes myself in this channel, indicating that there's going to be a pre-launch briefing. They generally do this before any new product is announced. But most importantly, they take requests from interested parties as to who would be interested in receiving a demo unit for testing. Here's the problem. I get a lot of email, no excuse. I had a lot on my mind, no excuse, and I was working on a really good double video that's coming for you probably Saturday, but maybe as early as tomorrow. Now that's an excuse. I was kind of like shuffling through my email. I wasn't really reading every word. And what I saw highlighted, right, was June 12th. And so I thought in my mind, oh great, June 12th, that is the date of the pre-launch media briefing. And so the regular summit will be the following week. Cool. And it wasn't until last night when I realized that today was the actual date of the summit. I had missed the pre-launch briefing. I had missed my opportunity to tell Fuji, hey, I'm interested. I'd like to demo the camera. Totally my fault. Guilty as charged. So don't blame Fuji. They didn't send it to me because I never expressed interest in it because I didn't have the date right. So I am a bit late to this party today of these 2 new products that have been released. Nevertheless, I wanted to at least check in with you on it, tell you some of the specs, give you some of my opinions on it, and only time will tell how popular this camera becomes. I personally think they're going to end up selling like crazy because it is a significant upgrade over the X-E4. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. I was not expecting to do this video today. And I am working on a video I'm really excited to show you about shutter speed. That is the next video coming. I'm going right now to finish editing it. And again, I hope today's video has been helpful for you, or at least entertaining. And if it has, be sure to give it the like and subscribe. I will see you in a new video very soon. Take care.